Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I want to talk about what is a controversial issue for some, a conspiracy and propaganda to others, and for many, it's the writing on the wall. So let's get to it. As some of you know, last year I showed you some brief footage of the North Saskatchewan smoke, which was coming from the record level of forest fires that were experienced here last year. And I think there was numerous wildfire records set last year. Now they're predicting that that's going to be beat this year as we're seeing record temperatures throughout the western provinces anyways. I'm not sure what the climate is looking like out east, but I can tell you that out west in Saskatchewan and back to the west coast, we are experiencing some heat which is very rare. Some of the records date back to the 1800s. It's pretty evident that, I hate using the word climate change because that's such a controversial word in the prepposphere, because preppers are people of a diverse group of opinions about this matter, and I too am a skeptic in many respects, but I don't think one can discount the intensity of the variation of these meteorological patterns that we're seeing nowadays. And experiencing that smoke from those wildfires last year, which basically blanketed our entire province down into, I think it even tipped the southern United States. In some states caught wind of that smoke from the North Saskatchewan forest fires. It was nearly apocalyptic in how it looked and how it felt. And it still honestly feels today that something is changing in a big way. And it may be a cycle. I know there's going to be people who jump on this thread and give us all the facts as to why we should or shouldn't believe that this is a big problem. But in light of these record-setting temperatures, which are just unreal in the Saskatchewan right now, we didn't even really have much of a winter this year. Our April and our May so far have been more like how our June and our Julys typically are. Now it may become more mild. That's happened. This may just be an anomaly, but the lack of moisture in some places, and of course the immense amount of moisture and the floods in other places, the California drought, it just seems like there's a lot of things which appear to me to be writings on the wall. We are definitely in store for some tough times ahead. Canada is one country which has been experiencing higher food prices, and as California continues to export its produce, people need to realize that within all that produce is water. And I'm not sure if this is a theory which has been proposed. This is just something I thought about an hour ago as I found myself eating some California cherries. I feel guilty about it now. Part of me wonders if this globalization model of moving food from far regions to other regions, Nestle's got in trouble for this before, from basically bottling their water in countries where there is water shortages and moving that water out of the country. I mean, if you're moving hundreds of millions of tons of produce, which is 90% water, out of a region every year for decades, that's bound to have some kind of effect. I mean, that would be one argument for a more localized economy. And it would seem to me to be a reasonable theory in light of what we're seeing with the Californian drought, but I don't really know too much about that. That's just pure speculation. But you need to be aware of these fires that are happening right now in a town called Fort McMurray, which is, if some of you don't know, it's the Canadian oil town. It's where basically when 2000 came around, I think the population was around 30,000. It's nearly tripled in size. Now the city and the surrounding area have 125,000 people, and that's all due to the oil boom. Now, as the oil boom has slowed, many people have been put out of work as a result of this. As the price of oil has dropped, the cost of processing the tar sand oil, it hasn't become a lucrative industry, so they have had to shut down a lot of wells. They're not pumping as much oil. Guys are, losing their houses, their big fancy trucks, all the debt that they've accumulated over the years, and they're going back to work at McDonald's. And I do mean literally at McDonald's. It almost seems very timely how, as the city is now, the population is starting to plateau, the city is now burning down. And you got to see the images of this Fort McMurray fire. I don't want to post too many due to copyright restrictions, but I'll post some links in the description of this video so you can take a look at it. Or you could just Google Fort McMurray wildfires. It'll pull up thousands of images of this fire, which are just incredible images of what's happening there right now. And it's only May. That's the scary thing about this. And I shouldn't say scary, but that's the concerning thing about all of this. I think climate is something that doesn't really get enough attention when it comes to potential SHTF scenarios. I mean, the independent stuff like tornadoes, the earthquakes, wildfires, mudslides, all that kind of stuff, independently they're looked at and they're prepped for. But I think as a whole, we tend to focus on the economy more. And usually when I say the economy, I made a video called The Most Likely Global Disaster Scenarios. I kind of lumped ecological changes within that. But I'm starting to think that as it stands today, it would appear that ecological threats are perhaps what will precipitate the economic threats. And that it won't just be a man-made economic issue that's to do with the mismanagement of finances and credits and moving them around in various ways to make the whole system keep on humming. It's going to actually be resource scarcity. I would encourage you all, if you had the time, to check out a movie called Hell. It was made in 2011, and to me it seems like kind of a side story of the movie The Road. It's not as good, I'll tell you outright, but the plot in that movie is, a full-blown global warming type scenario. And there's been a lot of movies like this, but that might give you somewhat of a sense of how that might look. Now, I already predict, I can set my watch to this, that somebody's going to come on and start stating statistics about how it's getting colder and, how we're heading into a global ice age and all this stuff. Okay, that's fine. I want discourse in the threads. This video is just a open forum, let's talk type video that I'm really curious to gauge the pulse of my subscribers out there as to what the consensus is around this issue. Not that I resort to consensus validity to confirm or deny my own beliefs, but it would be useful to see what people think out there, because I do trust the opinions and perspectives of my very intelligent subscribers who always inspire and enlighten me with new ideas. So just something for you to consider today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Lots of good content coming up. An endless conveyor belt of content is coming up this summer that I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out. Check out the Canadian Preppers Network blog, an excellent resource for survivalists and preppers.